Hello, welcome to Exotic Gardening with me, Yorkshire Kris. On last week's episode, we talked about the weather turning much colder as we get through November into December and what impact that would have on the tender plants. And I urge people to bring their tender plants indoors or protect them in situ. In this week's episode, we're going to look at my plants that I left outside to the cold temperatures. We're going to see how that sub-zero temperature has affected the tender plants that I did leave out, and look at the protection strategies I put in place for the plants that are staying out all winter. Okay, the next plant I'm going to show you might be a bit of surprise. Just to remind you, yet again, we had minus 2.7, minus 2.8 briefly early in the week. It was very, very cold for several hours overnight and into the morning. And there's one very tender plant that's actually, well, I'll show you what it looks like. It's definitely surprising to many, and I'll explain to you why it looks like it does. And that is down here. Here we have the pot of irisine that I left out last week, and it looks remarkably healthy. So how does this plant, or several plants, look so good? Well, first of all, this irisine, like I said, is not as tender as coleus, although it's close. It doesn't want to be sub-zero for too long, and it's not fully healthy everywhere. Yes, most of it is looking remarkably good, but you have got a few areas where you can see we've definitely got frost damage on the edges there. So why is this looking so good even though it's been sub-zero? Well, we need to look at how long it was sub-zero, where this planter is, and also what protection I gave it. So this planter is on my deck, and it is relatively close to the house. It's not right back to the house, but we're talking a metre away from the house, so it's got some warmth from the house and protection. My weather station, actually, where it measures the temperatures, is just up there for reference, so it's a little bit high for some things. It's about 2.5 metres high off the ground, but it gives you it gives you a good idea what temperature is like in this area. It's probably a little bit colder where this pot is, 'cause it's a bit lower down. But like I said, the duration of the cold wasn't too long, and I did have this fleece bag just draped over the top. I literally came out the evening before the cold and just placed it over the top. And where the bag has touched the leaves, that's where you've got the damage here and over here, but relatively speaking, the rest of it is looking in remarkable condition. So yes, you can get tender plants through winters if you're in a mild coastal location. Even when you get dips, below zero, at the coast it's normally only for a few hours and it'll warm up in the day. Whereas inland, I've got away with it this time, but the next time and the time after, more and more cold will damage this plant, and the duration will get longer and longer. So rather than just a few hours below zero, the next cold spells later in winter will get many hours, if not a day or two, you could get sub-zero, and this plant will definitely blacken off. And if this pot was further out in the garden, like the plectranthus we just saw, it would have definitely wilted and blackened off. But as it stands, this pot of irisine, and actually there's forget-me-not seedlings there as well, is staying out all winter. We'll keep an eye on it. I'll keep updating you on this. It's a bit like I said, a canary down the mine, because if this gets completely blackened off, we know it's been too cold for all the tender plants, and I'll keep you updated as we move through winter. And if we want to compare it to a plant we're all familiar with in terms of hardiness, we've got tomatoes, and obviously very tender plants. You can see here these are completely blackened off. We've got a few fruit hanging on there, and over here where we've got a shelter from the bamboo, we've got some greenery still. Again, this is behind the house on the deck, so we've got some warmth from the house here. But you can see how the damage has affected the tomato plants, which is totally expected because these are tropical plants that do not want to be in the cold. So last week I showed you a Gunra cryptica. I said once the leaves get blackened, we'll push those down over the crown, and as you can see, they're not quite blackened, but they're definitely frost damaged. You can see that there, that one's wilting a bit, and it won't be long before these blacken off. So before they do that, I'm just going to bend these over the crown of the plant here, which got a big crown there, and down here as well. And it's interesting to note by the side of that, we've got this arum lily that's in leaf and fruit, and further round underneath everything down here we've got another arum lily just emerging, because they put on their foliage in winter and spring, and then they look good at the time of year when the Gunra is dormant. So we'll just go over the bridge. You can see more Gunra, this time Victoria. This is gone black as well, so that's folded over. I need to take the big leaves out of the pond and tidy this area up. And we'll just go over where I'm building this path. I'll be careful where I step as I do so, but here you can see what was, or the colocasia pink china, is completely blackened off by the cold. You can see 95% of the leaves have died off. We have just got a couple of leaves holding on there where they've had shelter from the Jabea palm above. The zinnia seedlings there, they've gone brown and crispy. We've still got the tender sage here. This is looking fine. Still got some red flowers hanging on, again because of the overhead shelter. And we'll go around past the evergreen plants like this euphorbia, and we'll come to the arid part of the garden. And the main thing you can see is the structure I've built, which is a bit ramshackle, a bit different from normal. I've gone a lot taller, and I've put a sloping rain shelter over the top of this bed. It does cover the Chimerops volcano, which doesn't need cover, but I've had to do it this shape so that I can cover all the agaves in here. So it's basically, if I just reach up, you can see loads of polycarbonate sheets, all on a wooden frame pegged into the ground, and that's covering the agaves. So I'll just show you what we've got, and just to remind you, got the Americanas in there and the Montanas. So these are covered from the worst of the winter weather, the wet, and especially the snow and the ice, because most of the snow comes from above, obviously. I say most of it because obviously some does drift in, and it is very open on this side, and I would ideally put something on this side, but because of that yucca, it's pretty hard to get something going around those posts unless I built out another post there and have it coming out. I think it'll be fine. It's been fine most years. There we are, better view of the agave Montana Americana, another big Montana. They've really grown this year, surprisingly so, because it's been so dry. And there's another hybrid yucca under the Brighter Mart down there, which is really exciting to see. That's been doing really well. So they're covered. The Brighter Mart is not covered. You've got the growth point over there, and I'm sure these will come through fine, provided we don't get extreme cold. I've not covered everything, so we've got this little cacti that's just fending for itself, looking a bit damaged anyway from last year. Didn't put a cover on this one, but I have put a polycarbonate sheet over this Opuntia just to give it a bit of an extra chance to get through without too much damage. It survived uncovered before, but I thought I'd give it a cover this year, and hopefully it'll grow away well next year. It's just when you get snow, if it's heavy and wet, it just can, physically damage plants. Round here, well, it's a mess now, because that's all the amaranthus died down. The colocasias died down as well in this area. So this needs tidying up. And then the colocasias, I normally just leave it as it is, Or sometimes I put some new compost at this time of year, manure over the top, just to give a mulch over the area. So we might do that just to protect those plants, but they've got through without protection before. Now, going back round, be careful where I stand. Some more interesting survivors of the cold we've had this week. Let's go under these cloches. So under there, you can see we have a Aeonium sempervirens cross, so Semponium, multi-headed. That's completely unfazed by the cold they had this week. And we've got one of the hardier Aeoniums here, which I think is Rosacea. And that I'm going to leave out all winter and we'll see how it gets on. I think this has got a decent chance of getting through, whereas I don't think this one will get through. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I don't think there's much else to show down the bottom of the garden because everything's hardy enough, apart from the tree ferns aren't super hardy, but they're hardy enough in most winters. We're destroying the crowns, so that's not been put in place yet because it's not been that cold. So we'll go and have a look at a few more tender plants nearer the house and we'll see how that temperature of minus 2.7, minus 2.8 has affected the foliage. This is a very sad sight to see, very dreary and very dead. This is a very black, dead Plectranthus. I just dug it up, I put it here. I was going to take some more cuttings of it, but I forgot, to be honest. And you can see the cold has completely killed it off. There's no life whatsoever, even at the base down there. So that one night of cold has killed it off completely. So it does show you that tender plants don't want to be left exposed outside, even to relatively mild cold nights, as in -1, -2, because they can completely blacken off and can be killed right down to the ground, if not below ground as well. So that's why this plant, Plectranthus, I took lots of cuttings from this, and they're safely, if we look up, they're in the greenhouse with all their friends. And it's not just the tender plants that wilt and blacken off at the first sight of frost. Look at this. This is Persicaria Purple Fantasy. And pretty much all of it is blackened and browned and gone squishy just with that one night of cold. It looks absolutely terrible. Some of it's doing, well, it's holding on just underneath the Trachycarpus palm, but most of it is looking rubbish, and that is fine because it's a completely hardy plant. Unlike the Ericine Colis Plectranthus, this will come back from the ground year after year after year and will spread as well. It's completely hardy at root level, but at foliage level, it's very tender indeed. And here is the Canna Cleopatra. You can see the buds are still just holding on, very unlikely to unfurlough. The foliage, as yes, we've got some nice green leaves still, but we have also got some cold frost damaged leaves where we've got the browning on the edges and not looking great. So you can see it's just about holding on because it's in a pot, it's near the front of the house, and it is sort of east facing, so against the morning sun as well, so it's not completely died back, but it won't be long before this does die back. But it will stay out in the pot all winter. It comes back year after year from this pot, again because it's by the house, it has that warmth, so it shouldn't freeze all the way through the soil. Maybe the top surface for a while, but not right down where the rhizomes are. And then if we just move across, we've got another plant that shouldn't make it through the winter, but it does. This is a Pelargonium, so South African plant, and this got through last winter where the garden temperature was -7, and this got through with just a fleece bag over it, and this had a fleece bag over it the other night. You can see that's down there. It's starting to rain now, so I'll hurriedly get through this section of the video. We've got flowers still on here, we've got green leaves, it's been unscathed by the -2.7, and hopefully it'll get through the rest of the winter as well, but definitely on the tender side. And under that container and a brick we have aloe polyphylla, so it's just under there just to keep the winter wet off it. It's got ventilation, it's not all the way around to the ground, so you can get the air through there, and that cover will stay on there for the rest of the winter unless it gets nice, bright and sunny and warm, just to protect that aloe polyphylla in situ. We've got some other pots down here, some cacti. These stay out all winter. The melianthus in this pot, just because I was selling it last year, is still looking green. That'll be -3 to -5 before that blackens off. So the -2 doesn't do anything unless we get many, many nights of it. So that's not looking, well, it's still looking really good. I mean, it's not looking bad at all. And other potted palms will stay out in this corner by the house. Most are hardy or half hardy, the jabeyas down here, and the butias and the briars, all looking fine in their pots. As long as they don't freeze through, these will be totally fine. And here is my main clump of ginger. This is a main clump of Hedychium forestii, and obviously now we've had that first proper frost, I've started to cut it back, and I'll cut it back further, and this can stay in the ground. But because of my project to redevelop all this area, I'm going to put a lawn back in here, and this ginger will be dug up at some point to allow for that lawn to go in this space. So it doesn't need digging up because it's not too tender. It can stay out -10, no issues. With a mulch it's fine lower than that as well, but because in my situation I need this space, it will be dug up at some point over winter. And now it's been cut back by the frost, it's a good time to do it because the plant's no longer trying to grow. It will automatically pretty much be put in the dormant state, and it can be dug up pretty safely now and kept frost-free over winter. One other plant I do need to dig up is a big blue Burinda bamboo. This is a beast of a plant. It's well over 4 meters tall if you go right up there, and it's extremely hard to dig up. Solid culms on there, really tough meaty plant, so that'll be an effort, and I'll probably wait till early spring before I dig that up, and I'll probably chop it back in half as well so I can establish it in other areas of the garden. Now, one thing I want to show you, I might be going crazy here, I might be completely wrong, but I just noticed something just before I started filming, and I want your opinion on it, because I think I found a seedling of a pretty rare plant in the garden. I could be wrong, but I'll show you it and you let me know what you think. Have you seen it yet? It is down here. Now this will be hard to focus on. Let's zoom out. So not the patch of grass. It doesn't want to focus on it, but there we go. This spindly little thing, can hardly see it. It's been trodden on as well many times, and the wheelbarrow's been over this area lots. But if we go down, there we go. That's pretty much in focus. I think that could be a cordline indivisa. I don't think it's a normal cordline. I don't think anything else, because I've not had cordline seeds ever, I don't think anyway. But I have had indivisa seeds before that I've just probably chucked around the garden when they've not germinated. So I wonder if that's what this is, or if it's something else completely and I'm totally missing the mark. I'll try to focus again, it's so spindly. There we go. It's got a stripe down the leaves there, so maybe it is a cordline indivisa. Anyway, it won't be staying there because this will be lawns. It will be dug up and it'll die definitely when I do that. But let me know what you think. Is this a cordline australis or indivisa or something else? I'll try to get a better photograph to show you as well. Thank you for watching this edition of Exotic Gardening UK. Join me next week. We'll be doing more in the garden.